Coming to you from Final Third Cigar and Whiskey Lounge in Ingalls, Indiana, Indiana's exclusive Aladino Cigar Lounge. It's the Final Third Podcast.
Welcome back to the Final Third Podcast. I'm Rob.
I'm Scott.
And we have some special guests on this month. As you know or should know, it's Ladies History Month. I guess it's Women's History Month. But you guys are ladies. It's all good. It's Women's History Month. And we wanted to bring on a couple of our fellow cigar smokers and drinkers. My partner in crime, obviously, Lisa here, married for 32 years and keep going strong. And Amy, a good friend of ours here that we met here at the lounge. And she's doing a lot of great stuff, and we wanted to kind of chat with you guys and really just talk about women this month.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. So today we're going to actually be smoking on the Rojas Bluebonnets. It's an Ecuadorian Corojo over Nicaraguan Corojo cigar. Reason we're doing this is because we're also drinking the Back Bone barrel pick that we did here. Scott and I were on that pick together. You were there too.
Yep.
For a
Lisa's
while,
there.
you were on there, so we won't talk too much about that.
Trip, Lisa.
Well, no,
I did too.
There's a reason behind that. We'll probably get into that at some point on the show. But actually, Scott did the pairing with these two at one point, and he said this is one of the best pairings with that bourbon he's ever had.
It is absolutely fantastic, and I wish I could remember the tasting notes off the top of my head. But the nice thing is I forget, and we're gonna find out about it. So
that's what we're gonna be doing right now. So if you guys you have a cutter, Amy, or you need a cutter?
I already cut it. Thank you.
All right, cool. And do you want to cut, Lise? And then I've got lighters. Amy's already prepared. She's more prepared than us. We're putting fuel or fluid in today and everything. So
yeah, a little bit behind the time change, right?
Well, you know, it's bad. A friend of mine's like, every time I go someplace with you, you always have your bag with you that has all your tools. If you're going to be a professional, you got to have the tools of the trade, right?
Exactly. Yes, you do. Yep. So we were going to talk a little bit today, just to let you know, we're going to talk about some of the women in the industry that are doing some amazing things, but also everyone's brought a little bit of something different to talk about today. So let's go ahead and get started.
Absolutely. We starting with the cigar. We want to jump right into women's discussion.
We can talk about cigar first. Yeah.
So I was just checking out kind of the cold draw on this. It's very nice. It draws very easily.
Yeah.
Which is always fantastic. I always know that there's always a little bit of slight fruit notes with this one.
This is the one that throws me off because I get that dry blueberry on it.
Yep, always.
I love it. And
it's almost kind of like that dried cereal, like blueberry.
Blueberry, yes. That's probably why I love it, because I love blueberry. Best cereal ever made.
Who doesn't, right?
I was going to say a blueberry fig.
Ooh.
Okay, there you go. There you go.
Nice.
So, Amy, do you buy into all the tasting profiles and stuff in cigars? Okay.
I do.
Some people don't, so it's just curious to see who's where.
Chris Gordon.
Shout out.
Shout out.
We'll be drinking in his honor, I'm sure, a lot of the show. So
probably.
Well, while you guys are lighting, I'm gonna go ahead and get some pours going here too, so we can start drinking. It's not noon anywhere if we're not already drinking bourbon. So
I will briefly mention today's the start of the IndyCar season, so I'm wearing my Hy-Vee IndyCar team jersey. Definitely excited about May coming up. Lots of women involved, obviously, in the month of May.
Yeah.
And lots of history and racing and so on with women. But let's talk a little bit about women in bourbon.
Yeah.
Because I started doing some research, and there were some really, really interesting stories. Margaret Samuels was one that I found fascinating. And she is the one that came up with Maker's Mark.
Oh, that's right. I did hear that. Yeah.
So her husband and family made whiskey that was always rather aggressive in terms of flavor, and she wanted something that was a little bit lighter and a little bit sweeter and a little bit easier to drink. And she ended up working with them and tasting and coming up with the wheat recipe that Maker's Mark uses today. And she knew that Europeans that did like metallurgy, that they would stamp their work, and that was the Maker's Mark. And she said, hey, this is so good, that's what we're calling it.
That's great. That's great.
So I have an interesting piece of trivia for you. So my day job that allows me to have a cigar habit, is Corteva AgriScience. So all of the seeds used for Maker's Mark, the corn and the wheat, are all our seeds.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I keep trying to tell people we need to go do a board meeting down there, and I'm happy to be the person who carries the bourbon.
You absolutely should be the person. Yes.
I like that.
Well, that's very cool. That's very cool. So your company does seeds?
So it's AgriScience. So we're the
Okay.
largest single pure play ag company in the world.
Okay.
So if you've heard of Pioneer Seed, that's the company. Corteva owns Pioneer Seed as well as Old Dow DuPont Ag Part.
Oh, okay.
So we're
Wow.
doing everything from biologics to seeds. So if you're a farmer, you're probably buying a majority of our entire product line.
That's
Awesome.
fantastic.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry,
obviously
I'm gonna
being
get away
in central Indiana, seeds, we
lot.
use those a lot. And you do see the Pioneer signs
Oh, yeah.
absolutely everywhere. It's kind of funny, you might be a person that lives on the coast. You don't really notice that there's seed companies around here. It's, DeKalb out of
Right.
Illinois and
Bex.
Bex, yep, out of Atlanta, Indiana,
Yeah.
not Georgia.
Right. Yeah.
I got to figure people see invoices for that and they go, Atlanta, Indiana.
The thriving town.
Yes.
Atlanta,
Yes, thriving
Indiana.
town. There is one thing there, and it's Beck's.
It's Bex.
Hybrids.
It's Bex. Yep. And a new brewery, but I can't remember the name of it now. So,
Is it Traverse?
is Travelers there too? Maybe.
I think it's Travelers because I was up there not too long
Is that
ago.
the brewery or is that the
Distillery?
Okay, there's a brewery I thought up there too. Is that okay? I didn't realize it was in Atlanta. Wow. Okay, that's closer than I thought.
Yeah.
That's great.
It is actually a little bit of a thriving town because being just north of
Noblesville.
Noblesville.
Yeah, south of Tipton.
Yep. That whole area has been growing in quite a bit. So,
Yeah. All right. So what's some of the topics you guys would like to talk about today? I know you said you brought a lot of stuff you wanted to talk about. She said she's just going to do like rebuttals with everything. So
Wow, rebuttals.
Yes.
Is this like
Kinda
a
like
debate
being at
show?
home.
it is a
Isn't
debate
it?
show. Yes.
So I did a little research, being Women's History Month,
Yeah.
and I'm a statistics person and a data person. So interestingly enough, might have been an old figure, but they said 9% of the male population in the U.S. smoke cigars.
9.
9%,
Okay.
which I think in Indiana is probably a really low statistic
Yeah. I
think
because
so,
the
too.
cigar lounges are always packed, especially you guys on the weekends. But I guess I'll put my shameless plug of don't let that stop you. When the summer comes, there's plenty of seating for all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it said 2% of women in the United States smoke cigars.
And that's higher than I would have expected.
Yeah, considering
Two.
the 9%.
But you know
Yeah.
what? I'm glad. I'm glad to see that's not that big of a gap as it sounds. I mean, 9 to 2. That's still a lot of people that, we talk about all the time. It's like you go to a lot of cigar lounges or shops, and it feels like the boys' club, and we don't want that here. We want to see everybody come and enjoy it, and we do feel like we have a good women clientele that come in here.
Yeah.
And I feel like those places that are developing that culture are missing out on a beautiful culture and a way to bring people together and actually expand upon not just sitting here and bitching and moaning about what's going on at home or whatever.
Right.
Actually have a real relationship and community that way.
Well, and I've met, those who've in the final third before, my friend Curtis comes in quite a bit with me. He lives in Anderson, so this is a halfway point.
Cheers to Curtis.
Yeah, cheers.
Yeah,
Cheers, Curtis,
Cheers
buddy.
to Curtis.
Cheers.
I met him at Smoke at the Creek.
Mm.
The one that I went to, I think it was the second annual. Disappointed they don't have that event anymore. That was top shelf. And we're still friends. And we hang out at least once a week, have cigars, exchange cigar notes, talk about politics, religions, some of the things that are going on in society. And it's a great casual friendship.
Yeah.
It's just you're meeting so many people when you go to these lounges. If you just open up a little bit, you're meeting some people who could be friends for life.
Absolutely. Hey, can you real quick check and see if her mic is fully plugged in right here?
Yeah.
I'm getting a little bit of cutting in and out.
Yeah. Just make sure you eat that thing a little bit.
Okay.
Well, I don't know if it was just because it felt like it was cutting in and out a little bit. I just didn't want to lose out on what she was saying. So
Yep, absolutely. You just
Cool.
kind of got to be on top of it a little
gotcha.
bit. But
There
you're
you go.
good. Yep. Yeah. So you mentioned a couple things there that I think are my favorite parts of smoking cigars. You talked religion and politics, right? We talk about like civics and the fact that it's not very civil anymore.
Right.
We can look, we're getting into the political season, right? And all that stuff going on. So it's nice to know that you can get together in a place like a cigar lounge. Men, women, share topics, have discussions, and have real discourse. It seems like it's kind of tough to be angry when you're sitting there just enjoying a smoke and hanging out with people. And I know I was here the other day, and I think, Lisa, you commented about I was having a discussion with a couple guys over on the couch over there, getting into politics real heavy.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I will give the caveat: if too much alcohol is involved,
yes,
then the discussions may not be as civil.
But
well, for the most part,
as we're drinking barrel-proof whiskey,
exactly at noon. There's a couple of guys that come in here that are really good friends, and one is far right and one is far left, and they come in, they'll get in every once in a while. We going, man, they're kind of really pissed at each other right now, and then they get up, hug, and say, "See you next week." I'm like,
that's perfect.
That's the way it should be. It's like, we can have our opinions and we can vote the way we want to, but when we sit down and talk, we can share our opinions. But why do we have to separate and become such a segmented society based on our beliefs in politics and religion and all that stuff? Life's too short for that stuff.
Well, as I was coming in today, I was kind of thinking through just some of women's history in our country and thinking of Betsy Ross or Mary Todd Lincoln, right?
Yep.
And what they meant, to the people that were around them. And it's probably hard to quantify exactly the impact that ladies have had throughout history because, unfortunately, it has been a minimized group at times. And obviously, things like suffrage and just being able to get into politics and all that. So I don't know. I work with a lot of women. I work in IT, and I always appreciate that there's women in technology, and I think that there's a massive added value. So I'm glad we have this Women's History Month to celebrate.
Yeah, and it'd be curious to hear from you guys on this too. It feels like on the male side of this that the country has come a long way in this. But I know it's not. I mean, because we see the way voting changes and all the different things they've done in the past. But I still see a lot of the discrepancies in, pay scale, for example, stuff like that are still in there. Is that something you guys deal with on a daily basis? I know I hear it from you a lot on that, but.
Oh, so going back to my statistics, and then I'd love to go back to women in history going way, way back.
Yeah.
I read another statistic that said in the global population, there are only 10%, is it 10% or 5%? Somewhere between 5 and 10% of people actually make more than $250,000. That's the global population. Let's just call it 5%.
Yeah.
When you get to women who make more than that, it's 0.2%.
Wow.
So 0.2% of women. That means the rest, 4.98%, are all male.
Wow.
And one of the best examples I have is recent. So I'm getting ready to go to WeBank, which is a women's business show. It's in Colorado this year, and it focuses on international and national women-owned businesses. And interestingly enough, the last time I went, there was a company called Zazi, and they make olive oil. They're from Turkey.
Okay.
And talking with the owner, she started the company because her husband's Turkish. She was in Turkey at the Olive Gardens, not the Olive Garden, but the olive groves. And one of the things she found out.
Thank you for the question.
I was like,
they're at the Olive Garden. Wait a second. Is it never-ending soup and salad lunch day?
In Turkey of all places.
Exactly. Wow.
So I guess in Turkey they might have turkey on the salad.
It's entirely possible.
We had to get food in here somehow or another.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, we made it like a whole first 5 minutes without it.
That's great. Yeah.
But never 5 minutes without bourbon.
Never.
No, gosh, no.
So I met the lady who owns Zazi, and she started it named after her daughter. And what started it was the women in the olive groves were making like a third of what the men were making. And a lot of these were women who'd been divorced or left or their husbands had died. They're trying to raise children on a third of what the man would make.
Wow.
That's
so
incredible.
They went in there and gave them equal wages, and it is all women from the harvest to the packing to the packaging to the shipping, everything. So
Awesome.
she's changed a whole community's trajectory.
Absolutely.
That's great.
That is fantastic.
Well, we saw that down in Honduras when we were at the Aladino farm, and they utilize a lot of women in management roles. And honestly, I totally get that with her because, I tell people all the time, there's no way we'd have done this if we didn't have the details, the accounting work, and all the stuff that she does with HR, all the stuff like that I don't want to do. She just nails it every time. It's like, I feel like, and that is something I truly believe is I feel like, men can do certain things very well. Women do things very, very well, and they don't have to be the same thing. That's a great thing, but they can be the same thing. And that's why I like seeing in companies like Aladino that the three daughters are going to be taking over that company, and they're going to crush it because they have been in this for their whole lives. So it's fun to see that we're finally getting into it, at least in the cigars and the whiskey category right now. We're seeing a lot more in the way of women and families growing up and actually taking over and then making it better. And I'm excited to see, some of the people we got on this list we'll talk about later is seeing some of the recognition and also the pay. They're getting paid finally, and it's like, okay, it's about time.
It is, and some of that's got to be just a natural progression, I'm sure, right? It was women stayed at home, right? Like kind of the silliness in the 50s and the traditional conservative family, right?
Yeah.
Versus women getting out and working. Get out there and you actually start working, then you recognize, oh, women absolutely are as capable as any man at doing pretty much any job out there.
Yep.
Right. And now it's like, okay, now they've got to be recognized for the work that they're doing and compensated appropriately. And there's a lot of competition out there in some businesses more than others right now. But when you're fighting for every employee to contribute, right, to your company, or as a company owner, you're looking for the best people to fill the position, you find out pretty fast. There's a lot of great women out there doing a lot of fantastic work, and they're worth it.
Yeah.
That's the big thing. They're absolutely worth it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, it's been kind of eye-opening for me. I grew up in the late 60s, and
you were born in the late 60s. You grew up in the 70s and 80s.
But so I didn't know any different. That's kind of been the boom where the women's rights, has been growing. I didn't know. I grew up in a happy home, kind of a blissful child. And what I didn't realize is my dad was pushing me to get into athletics or to get into education. I just thought it was my father pushing his child to do more, to be better. And it wasn't until I got older, out of school, that I started realizing the differences and the disparities between the genders. And history was not my thing in school. I kind of checked out, kind of boy crazy and, all that. So
I will say it does seem like guys, tend to be into history. It's kind of funny. There's not as many women into history, but you can ask just about any dad, like, hey, what year did the Civil War start? 1861. Like, they're ready to go on questions like that.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm like, I'm not sure which decade that happened, but anyway. So now
what
I'm listening.
Century was that?
It's bad when somebody says, oh, did you know somebody that was alive during that time?
No,
thank you. I'm not that old.
But so now I'm listening to all kinds of history podcasts and listening to women's suffrage, listening to like our founding fathers, what they were thinking when this country was started. And so I have a greater appreciation for where women have come from and the people who have fought on the men's side to help women get to where they are. And so I'm very grateful for it.
Yeah.
And, I'm still learning. So.
Well, and that's something she's gotten me into. Some of her, she does like this is one Thomas Jefferson podcast and some other ones. And it's so funny how history books have always told you all the stories of the men, but these podcasts to realize, there's a hell of a lot of women that were doing the same stuff, and they're talking about them on the podcast and getting it out there. And it's kind of encouraging to see. It's like, women have been doing this stuff forever.
Yep.
They're just now finally starting to get a little recognition for it.
Yeah.
And I know you're, like you said, we're not there yet.
Oh God,
no,
we're not even close, but at least we've got people
we're
fighting
trending
for that.
We're trending the right direction.
We should be.
We
should be.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like, I feel pretty excited about the opportunities I see for a lot of people. My mom's been a business owner for over 30 years now, and she started with a desk that was smaller than this table doing bathroom remodeling. She now, has a major remodeling company. They do whole home remodels. They do a few new home builds. She's on the board for the Indiana Builders Association, which is the biggest political, kind of action group in Indiana. It's fun. My sisters are taking over the business, so I've been.
Cheers to your mom and to your
I've been
sisters.
fortunate to be blessed with such great women in my life.
Yeah, and that is interesting though too, because you're talking about a woman that started her own business, did a lot of her own work, has created this for herself. From what I'm hearing from Amy, she's talking about corporate world a little bit here.
Oh, and corporate is definitely going to be a different animal.
It's a little bit.
And I work in IT, so just so you know, like IT, we're dragging in women, kicking and screaming every chance we can get it, right? STEM programs for women out there, and there's a lot of initiatives to get women into technology. Yeah,
because Lisa started her own companies a lot of years ago as well. And a lot of it stemmed from the fact that she just couldn't work for other people. She told people how to do their job, and they wouldn't keep her.
So you're Rob's boss.
Yes.
Oh, there's no question. If you come into the lounge, we know who the real boss is.
She's the boss, yeah.
So you're the hammer.
I make more than him.
Okay.
Yeah, she didn't. This is what I get paid right here.
He gets paid in cigars and whiskey.
Yeah. So go ahead, Amy. You were going to say
I was just going to say, so Lisa, my upbringing was almost completely opposite. I had a single mom. Her and my dad got divorced. I was the surprise from a late night date. My mom chose not to go to college because of me, and then started working. And her and my dad got divorced when I was 6 months old. So I pretty much grew up without a dad, but had really strong male figures. My grandparents had 5 daughters. And I can only imagine what my grandfather went through trying to get into the bathroom. And there was a rule that when you heard his car in the driveway, you better not be in the bathroom because it's his time, and get out of the way. So they raised 5, and I'm Irish Italian. So on the East Coast, I'd be a daily double. And it was very strong Italian Irish women, 5 daughters. There's 10 of us grandchildren. There's 3 girls out of that generation. So it's almost polar opposite. But, it's interesting because it is typical Italian, because we all fight amongst ourselves sometimes, and somebody will call and say, "Oh, do you know what so-and-so did?" Blah, 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 blah. But then the minute somebody outside our family says something, it's like you've got the whole gang up against you, and that's not something you want.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I grew up watching my mom struggle until she got remarried. And I just viewed as the oldest child and the oldest grandchild, it was my responsibility as a girl and the oldest to set an example for everybody else. So I was always highly competitive, loved history.
Excellent.
Love history. And I love trivia about history. So I guess, Lisa, you and I are not the average females, because we hang out with bourbon, cigars. We can talk pretty much any topic and know how to get it done.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How do we make that the average? That's what I'm looking for. Need to get more women.
I agree.
Yeah.
So interestingly enough, I was saying before we started the podcast, I have an aunt that just moved to Indianapolis about 3 years ago. She's single, and she's like, "You need to take me to your leader." And I'm like, "What the hell are you talking about?" She's like, "Every time I talk to you, you've gone somewhere and you've met 5 or 6 new guy friends. They all want to hang out. They all want to go do stuff. And yet you're dating somebody and have for a long time. But how does this work?" And I'm like, "You don't go to a bar where you can't have a conversation.
Yeah.
You go to these bars, it's loud, people are drinking, there's live music. And if you're a guy, are you going to go approach a group of dancing women that have been drinking all night on the dance floor? No. But if I'm sitting across from you at a table at a cigar
maybe. Not now, not the last 33 years.
Well, no, but you know what I mean.
No, but you're right. Yeah, you can't have a conversation.
But I will say, so I've got a very, very good friend of mine that her and I have worked together off and on for about 15 years now. And, she talks, like, we obviously travel quite a bit for work. And she'll mention that she does not go to the hotel bar by herself. And for her, it's just a thing of it can, never know what's going to happen. You're on the road, and that concerns her. Now, if I'm on the road with her, we're doing sales calls or something, we'll go and hang out till 1 o'clock in the morning, and it's just a couple friends hanging out, and we'll meet the people that are around there.
Yeah.
We've got some great stories of late nights and having a lot of fun. I'm like, it's kind of a bummer that she doesn't feel comfortable going out and just sitting at a bar and having a conversation, right?
I'm the polar opposite. So
nice.
I go to Orlando several times a year for work. And Corona Cigar Lounge, not to give them a shameless plug.
No, I like Corona.
I like Corona. And if you go to the one on Salt Lake, I think it is, or something like Crystal Lake, maybe, right there in Orlando, not far from the convention center, great group of people. I go there every time I'm there. I take an Uber over. I also, by the way, if you ever go to Orlando, I have a driver named Bruce. Sweetest guy in the whole world. He will drive you anywhere you want to go, and he's amazing.
Awesome.
So I go to Corona, and I'm actually friends now with the guy that's the manager of Corona, and actually several of the guys that work there. Because I walk in and I'm like, this is what I want to get. This is what I'm looking for. And I just, I'm just comfortable there. And they're very opening, very welcoming. And I'll sit in there by myself till 1 o'clock in the morning.
That's awesome.
And smoke.
I love that.
And Corona's developed a good culture there too. Our friend Holly that owns Crown Majesty Cigars now, that's her home lounge. And she's in there all the time. Whenever I see her taking pictures, it's usually several women hanging out, men hanging out all together. I'm like, so it's cool to see really an old lounge. The lounge has been there for a very long time. It's already developed that culture. Now we just got to get the lounges around the country to start following suit.
Rob, you bring up such a great point here, and Amy, I think I'm it's something I look at. There has to be a specific focus to drive that kind of culture, right? There has to be something that you have to push towards that and make it an initiative rather than, just sitting around wait. Well, sit around wait, nothing ever happens, right? Nothing ever changes. So that's a really, really great point in developing that culture and driving towards it and finding ways to make women feel comfortable and good and enjoying, all the stuff that it takes to build that kind of that culture in your environment.
And I think it truly starts with the owners, and then it starts with the training of the employees, because I know both of you women have been in a cigar shop, and you hear the code word, and the code word means a woman's in here. We need to clean up our talking or whatever.
Is that really a thing?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. But the thing is, as soon as a woman knows the code word, every time they walk in and hear the code word, they know, well, they're just changing themselves for me now because I'm here. It's not being legitimately who they are. Just don't be that way.
No,
it's pretty simple. Just don't be that way.
Yeah.
And but it really takes people being very, very conscious of it. And also, if you see something happening, that's where the owner or the employee or whoever needs to come out and say, we don't do that here. And we've done that maybe twice since we've been open.
I'm just too naive and too just naive.
Yeah.
I'm so constantly optimistic, and I love seeing the best out of people. So I know. Call it a character flaw.
No, it's called being a Hoosier.
Oh, is that what it is?
Well, okay.
Yeah,
and
born
I will
and
say,
raised.
we say this all the time. You can't hit a golf ball in Pendleton when I hit into a Deshong.
That's true.
And
yes, there is a ton of us.
But
here.
you're talking about men and women on both sides. They're all doing business, all kind. So you've kind of been in a pocket of something that's not really that common, having the men and women of the entire family that are all succeeding in their business avenues. So you kind of are sheltered in that a little bit.
Absolutely.
Other than your work, obviously, but that's different.
Right.
Yeah.
But then again, I mean, even like with the companies that I've worked for, there's always been a lot of strong women, usually in account management roles out there. I'm their sidekick. Like, that's my job, is to effectively be the engineer that comes in and does design stuff, but they're running the show.
Yeah. So I used to work for a company that makes big yellow equipment that's not based in Indiana.
Gotcha.
So I'll let you kind of guess who that is.
Gotcha.
And I used to buy maintenance, repair, and operations products and services supporting manufacturing. And I went to a Granger show one year, and it was the first year I'd gone. And the joke is, when I do business in bullet points. Okay. So I'm like, this, these are the due dates. This is what I want. So I come off very relaxed and chill in the cigar lounge. That's because I get it all out at work. And it was funny because I didn't have a last name when I went to the show. It was Amy from blank. And I had a posse of 6 guys that as I walked through the show, if I didn't want to talk to somebody, they were like, nope, sorry, she's not interested in talking to you. Sorry.
Did you have big black sunglasses on walking through too?
No, but I was like, I've become share of MRO. This is awesome. I love it. But we got a new sales rep a couple months ago, and my guy in Michigan, I was like, have you heard from the guy? Nah, not really. So, I mean, the guys I grew up with, understanding MRO, are now VPs. So I sent one a text. I said, hey, I don't know who the milk dud is that's calling my account, but we got to do something here. And he was just like, yes, ma'am, not a problem. And it was fixed by the time I got to the show a week later. And I was awesome. Like, I'm not trying to be mean to the guy, but if you think you're going to slack because I'm a female, you're entirely wrong, because I will call your bluff on it. Amen. Every single time.
Oh, yeah.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah. I've been called out a couple times.
Yeah. Well,
which is good. I've deserved it.
And that's something I will say to any women listening out there too. Don't be afraid to call out a dude for doing something wrong, because, it may just be that that's the culture he grew up in. He doesn't know any different. But call him out, because honestly, if I say something derogatory and she yells at me, I'm like, oh, I never even thought about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't mean it that way ever, but sometimes we say stupid shit and someone's got to correct us, and don't feel bad about correcting people.
And guys will call out guys.
Oh, yeah.
It shouldn't be any problem one way or the other, right?
Nope.
I mean, it's, it shouldn't be held to a different standard.
But I expect my male employees and female employees to tell me, regardless of where they're at in the world, if I've made a mistake.
Of course.
Absolutely, yes.
And I made an error with somebody's raise this year because there was a country rule that I didn't know about. And he sent me an IM. He goes, help me understand this. And I went back to him. I said, dude, I am so sorry. I didn't know that. Thank you for teaching me something new. I fixed it in 24 hours. I told him, I said, I appreciate the fact that we have an open, honest work relationship where you felt comfortable saying, help me understand.
Yeah. Help me understand is the new business universal term for you fucked up. That's what it is. Yeah. Help me understand.
But I feel like as a culture, we're trying to get better at doing that across nationalities. I can't tell you that I understand what a Muslim in America goes through on a daily basis. But I would love if I say something wrong, I would love for someone to correct me and say, this is the reason why that's not good. Please do that. Why can't we do that across the sexes?
Yeah.
We should be able to.
And the races.
And the races, yes.
And every other, all of it, every other difference
Yeah.
between people. It's this is where my naivete comes in, because I have an inherent belief that a super majority, 99.999% of people want to do the right thing, right? They want to.
Aren't you cute?
They may not.
Yeah, I'm messing with you. I know.
Hey, I get it.
No,
But it's just how I am. I've traveled the world, and I love being out amongst people. I mean, I talk about the 500 and how many times I've gone to that race, and the hundreds, if not thousands, of people that I've met over the last 23 years of going out there and camping. You want to go find out about people and who treats people how. Go to campgrounds. Go camp. It's
true.
You'll find people that will absolutely just, lay out for you whatever you need.
Yeah.
Such helpful people out there in the camping world. And you still get the bad ones occasionally. Of
course you
do. Yeah, it's really, really one of those areas where I've had great experience with people. And again, maybe a bit naive, but that's all right.
My idea of camping is my hotel room door is on the outside of the building, not on the inside. And if there's no room service, there better be DoorDash.
I will say, when I'm camping in my 40-foot travel trailer with two bedrooms and a bathroom and shower.
We can hang.
Exactly.
So, Amy, is this part of your posse?
This is. So my friend Mark and his wife, Jen.
Hey, guys.
Thank you to sponsor Deadwood Live. Derek with Deadwood Live is producing top-quality live edge products, as well as bourbon-themed furniture. If you've been in the lounge, you've seen the custom live edge table and barrel stools produced by Derek. Be sure to give him a like and follow on Facebook at Deadwood Live. That's D-E-D Wood Live.
I was just checking to see if someone came in earlier, if it was part of your posse.
So.
She's just got a following of people following her around today. So
Mark and I met through business. He's also a fellow cigar and bourbon lover. So we have a lot of conversations about cigar and bourbon and the work travel life that everybody thinks is glamorous.
And I will tell you, speaking of work and travel too, I know you do this a lot. I've heard now that you do this a lot too. We do it whenever we travel. If you enjoy a good cigar and a drink in your local area, wherever you're traveling, find one. You'll meet some amazing people in a new area. You'll probably make some friends for life. And you know what? If you're willing to relax and have a drink and just get away from it when you're here, why not do it on the road? Makes travel a whole lot more fun.
So I will say this last week, I was traveling up in the Chicago area.
I'm sorry.
I know. I stayed in Indiana.
Oh, that's good.
Yes, I had to drive up to O'Hare Airport. They're a customer of mine, and I still stayed in Northwest Indiana, and went to the Karma Cigar Lounge in the Merrillville area.
Not been there, but I heard great things.
It's fantastic.
Yep.
Great lounge. The amount of cigars. Now, the funny thing was that I don't think that they had any brands that you carry. Like not one. But they had every single other possible brand I could ever even imagine.
Yeah.
Huge 2-room, walk-in humidor. And then they had shelving all around, the entire facility.
Yeah.
I've just never seen anything like it. It was crazy, but everybody was really nice. Pretty good selection. They don't do barrel picks or anything up there, but they did have a great cocktail, the bourbon sidecar.
Yeah.
And it was wonderful. So instead of using cognac, they used High West double rye.
Sure.
And
which I'm sure is probably better than
it
cognac.
was great. It was absolutely great.
I've made them here with a cognac before, and it's not bad. But I will say with bourbon or with rye, they definitely are better.
Yeah. Well, if you find yourself in Merrillville, shout out. Go say hi to the people at Karma. They do great things there.
Yeah, and that's one thing you'll notice with us. We want to shout out. We want to see businesses like ours succeed, and the more cigar lounges and shops we have around that are doing well, the better it is for all of us. So
I'm going to give my Peoria one a shout out.
All right.
My friend Bart opened up, it's just a little 1920s bungalow, but it's a private cigar lounge. He's $10 a day if you're not a member, but you bring your own cigars. If you're a member, you can take from the bourbon that's behind you.
Yeah.
And he's just got a lot of couches. People get there to watch Bradley games, NCAA. He'll do chili cook-offs and all kinds of stuff.
Cool.
But it's the most welcoming group of people you've ever met, and I'm one of 3 women.
Yeah.
But everybody there is fantastic. You can find them on Facebook. And if you find yourself in Peoria, Illinois, look up Bart.
Bart, what's the name of the place again?
Ash Cigar Lounge.
Ash Cigar Lounge. Okay.
Excellent. Ash Cigar Lounge.
And you just contact them on social media, Facebook, and then that's how you get in touch.
You can find their address on Facebook. And then if you just ring the doorbell during public hours, he'll let you in, and it's $10 for the day.
That's perfect.
That's
like amazing.
Because I love Peoria. I used to go there all the time.
I'm sorry.
It's I like it. It's a nice town. It's there on the river. During the summer, there's a couple good restaurants there.
It's changed a lot in the last 10 years.
Yes. Yeah. But I frequently stayed at the Embassy Suites there, on the river. That was my normal place. So, yep, I've got a lot of good friends over there. I'll have to make sure and check that lounge out.
Absolutely.
So, we were talking about how lounges need to be more inviting and inclusive of women. So there's been a lot of people in here that I like to engage the people that come, and once they've sat, I check on them, see if they need anything else, make sure the cigar we help them pick out or the bourbon is tasting fine. And so many times I get the comments, "Thanks, sweetheart." "Thanks, honey." And I know they mean it in a nice way. They're not being, "Hey, sweetheart," because if that were the case, I would turn around and punch them. But, how can we change that, and let them know that is derogatory to me.
Yeah.
Please don't say that,
You disarm them.
Well, that too.
So what I've done in the past is, have we met before? Because you may not remember my name, but I'm Lisa. I'm Amy, and I don't recall your name. "Oh, thanks so much." And then every time I talk to that person, I put an emphasis on their name. And then it's like, and sometimes they do it because
that's a good way to do it.
That is.
Men don't remember crap. Sorry, guys.
No, you're exactly right.
No, they don't.
You're right.
And they're bad with names.
I remember faces for life, but names are horrible. And it didn't matter, women, men, anybody. I'm just like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it takes me a while.
But
Ron does forget a lot over there.
Yeah.
I thought his name was Greg.
Greg.
Rob, sorry.
Joe.
But what I do is I just take the power back
Yeah.
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 and say, nope, no. It's like when somebody says, hey, can you take, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to touch your leg there. And I have a tendency to call other women honey or love or something like that. But it's because I'm like, I really like you as a person. And as a female, I'm acknowledging you're somebody I'd love to hang with.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of how I take it when they're like, oh, thanks, sweetheart. You know, they see it as I'm being helpful and tending to their experience here. And so that's why I don't take it derogatory, even though to my daughter who works here, that would be.
Yeah.
She does.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's just developing that culture. But so peel it back a layer. Well, how do we get more women involved like this? We have to let them know you have permission. It's okay.
Exactly.
Have the confidence just to go do it.
Don't ask permission. Just go do.
Just go do it.
Don't worry about what somebody thinks. It's these cultural norms that women have been shoved into, like we've talked about, and just have to kind of break through that barrier and go do it. Oh,
Yeah.
but somebody's going to think,
Who cares?
Who cares?
you know, so I have said it to a few people. My opinion of you is none of your business, and your opinion of me is none of my business. We have opinions every day.
Yep.
That's just how we're wired. Guess what? It doesn't matter. You know, go live life.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
And so, you know, how I treat you matters.
And how
Yes.
and my big thing is I'm going to treat you the way I want to be treated
Yeah.
in return.
Yeah.
And I think that's where people it flabbergasts people when you're just,
Yes.
and I always tell people kindness is not hard.
No.
Right.
Even when you're irritated and want to punch somebody in the face, treating them with kindness makes them sit back on their heels and say, oh,
It should be the default.
it should be the
Should be.
default.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
See, I'm not that naive.
and I feel like
We're
No.
Midwesterners, and I think Midwesterners
yeah.
are totally different.
That's for sure.
that is for sure.
My boss moved from Delaware, and she's just like, I love Indianapolis. My son is blossoming. We love the area. Everybody here is so welcoming and friendly. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's just how we are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
And I feel like here at the lounge, we do go above and beyond to make sure that you feel like you're sitting in our living room
I agree.
and that you're well tended to. And, you know, you're not just somebody with money coming in the door. We care about your experience here.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
you know, if we something different we can do, you know, we do the best in our power to make that happen. So,
Yeah.
Well, that's why you
right.
guys are, doing well with a cigar lounge in Ingalls.
And
Yeah.
everybody
Right.
goes,
And-
where the hell's Ingalls at?
Yes, it's always
I don't
Where's
know.
Ingalls?
there.
Hey, we-
Just minutes east of Fishers.
Yes.
We
Look it
got
up.
Close.
We got a shout out on Pendleton Chatter.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah,
I
let's-
saw that.
Yeah, that was nice. Someone said, they were talking about how Ingalls is growing, and it was comfortable. It was good seeing how it's growing. And if you don't know, Ingalls is it's basically next door to Pendleton. It's just a couple miles down the road,
Right between Fortville and
and
Pendleton.
same school system, everything. And they were talking about that, and one of the guys made a comment. He's like, "Well, if you haven't seen anything else, but just check out Final Third, because if you build it, that will come." And I'm like, "That's true. I mean, and it is close. Obviously proximity is key, but treat people well, build community, and I think that really is what everybody wants, even if they don't know they want it."
Yeah, well, I mean, all you got to do is look at our everyday news,
Yeah.
whatever's just being pushed at you. It's just a consistent negative push. And it takes community places like this, right? Or your local, whatever, Rotary Club or your gardening club. I went to an event this week, it was Madison County Soil and Water Conservation. I didn't even know that was a thing, by the way. I mean, I guess makes sense. Conserve, soil and water is good. A lot of farm people there, right? A lot of just agricultural minded people, but there's places to go out and find community. And, I started talking, it's like somebody that was a rancher that is over between Anderson and Markleville and has 100 and some odd acres of ranch land raising cattle.
Wow.
Right. I mean, it was incredible. And then you find out like there's other parts that are community driven. Hunter Smith, former punter for the Colts, was there and giving a presentation on regenerative farming. It's like the new local small farmer. Yeah. Hunter Smith has a 22-acre farm with his family over in Zionsville and raises cattle and sheep and goats and pigs. And yeah, it was just incredible to hear it. I did also, by the way, hold his Super Bowl ring.
He was passing his ring around.
His son goes to school with my boss's son.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
So I've been learning, and that's what's amazing, talking about this area and the growth. I cannot believe how many NBA and NFL players retire here.
Yeah.
And I was like, what's the draw? What is it?
Well, and community. If you've noticed this year, especially this year, and it's mainly because of one woman, women's college basketball is getting a heck of a lot of publicity.
Absolutely.
Because Caitlin's pretty amazing.
Cheers to
and
Caitlin.
She's coming to Indy.
She's coming to Indy. So we got some more amazing female athletes coming into Indianapolis to play professional sports. We've got the professional women's volleyball team.
Yep.
It's going to be starting
the Fishers Event Center.
Fishers Event Center when that goes. So another year of that. So we're going to see a lot of really amazing women's sports. We've already had some great women's sports here. We're going to see even more of that coming in here. So it's time for us as a community, as a state, to get on board with this and just do it. I mean, it's not that hard. It's not that hard. So I'm excited about what's coming in the future here. So hopefully it continues to grow and we continue to do better as a male society too, and not just being men like we are. So,
but we now don't take it the wrong way, but we do appreciate men for all that you've done over the years, and I firmly believe that as our generation, because Lisa and I are close to the same age, I think the advocacy that's coming out of men in our generation for women is 1,000% different than it was 10 years ago. And the more we can teach people to be advocates of each other as well as advocates of women, I think you'll see society start to turn.
That's a really good point. We keep talking about, men should treat women better. Men and women both should just treat each other better, period.
Agreed.
Yeah. If we would just fall back to, love your neighbor as yourself, the golden rule, it's like, why is that hard? It shouldn't be that hard.
It's really not.
But
okay.
Yeah. So first thing, let's talk about, we got this pairing and this pairing is actually working.
I told you, man.
Great.
I don't remember if you'd had after I said anything about it.
I did, but I had forgotten like you did. But the fruit notes pop through so nice both ways.
Massive.
Ways.
It really supports the bourbon, which then supports the cigar, and back and forth. Those fruit flavors just come bursting out.
They really do.
Kind of like a blueberry muffin.
Yeah, blueberry Pop-Tart's what I get. Yeah, with the icing.
But I can't taste the fig that you mentioned earlier.
The what?
The fig that Lisa
yeah, I agree.
Earlier.
Yeah, it's absolutely there. Almost a bit like a candied fig, kind of like when you torch one.
Yeah.
Brulee it. Yeah.
Well, I will go through some of the
food.
I know.
Well, we always go back. We always default to food.
We always end up at food.
So I will talk about some of the women in the whiskey industry, at least, and we'll talk about some of the women in cigars too. But I know you have a few people that you wanted to shout out too. So I'll go through mine quick so you can spend more time doing your thing. So some of the ones we've talked about on this podcast quite a bit, Marion Eves, you started seeing her. She's doing a lot of work right now, but she's been doing a lot of freelancing and consulting. She's currently the master distiller for Castle and Key. Is that right? Yeah, Castle and Key.
That's where she started. That's where she started.
That's where she started. Now she's doing consulting and freelance.
Yeah, and blending. Yeah.
So she's taken it from being a distiller to now she's out helping distilleries grow and get started, or actually helping them blend, doing all the work that she's always done, but now she's doing it wide scale.
I know she has her own foundation as well. She's doing a lot of community outreach stuff.
Yes.
And so that's really great. There's education programs that she's been putting on about how to do tasting and blending and things like that. So really giving back to the community quite a bit.
Absolutely, yeah. Another one is Elizabeth McCall. She started her career with Brown-Forman, which big dog, right there, and did quite a bit with them as the assistant master distiller, and now she is the master distiller at Woodford. Another brand that's crushing it out there. I
wonder if she worked with Jackie. Do you know if they were there at the same time at Brown-Forman?
I don't know. We didn't ask her when she was here.
No, we didn't.
So
be curious.
Yeah, and speaking of Jackie Zykan's next up. So she's obviously one of our favorites because we got to meet her and talk to her. We love Jackie. She's awesome. She not only had done a lot of blending, and she was the one. She brought a bottle of the birthday bourbon the last year that she blended it. Wow. It was a part of that process.
Yeah.
And we got to drink through that, and it was delicious.
It was.
And but she's not only doing the sensory training, she also has her own company, Oda Oak, that she is doing the fragrances. She is one of the partners of Hidden Barn Distillery. She's doing all of it, and right now she's a single mom, doing all this work, and it's like, my God, she is so busy, but she still has time to be a mom.
And if you get a chance to do her sensory training, do it.
It's amazing.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, it's worth every single penny.
It
Just
is.
Go and do it. It's
incredible. Sounds like she needs to come to the final third and do a special event.
Yeah.
Sounds like we need to schedule another one.
We do need to schedule another one. We talked to her about doing another one up here, and we really enjoyed it. Hopefully she had as much fun as we did. She seemed to. So. She seemed to. Yep. But she's just such an awesome human being, and I really enjoy getting to know her.
You want to talk about seeing a woman take control of a room?
Oh yeah. Oh,
she was dishing shit to no end. It was great.
She's a kindred spirit.
Oh yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah. She shut me down for talking at one point.
Rob was like, "Yes, ma'am. I'm back in third grade. His head's down. I saw a little tear start to form."
The check you gave her to shut Rob down worked, huh, Lisa?
Yeah, exactly. Just a couple more. Lisa Roper Wicker, she's the Widow Jane Master Distiller. I think she might have just gotten named that here recently, but I may be off there.
I feel like that was recent news as well.
I thought so too. And then Nancy Fraley, she's been teasing this 17-year-old Barton that she's been working on. She's done she does a lot of work with Still Austin down in Texas. I actually picked up a bottle when I was down there, the one that she actually chose the barrel. Amazing, very, very good. So she is one of those people that has an amazing palate, that's using her palate for bourbon. I'm like, I love that. And that we talked a little bit about that with Jackie during the sensory was, because there's that kind of, I think she called it more of like a misnomer, even though we still feel like it's real, that women have a little bit more sensitive palate than men. Mm-hmm. And I think she said it's not as much sensitive palate, it's just the notes that are able to be drawn.
She said it was due to evolution.
Yeah.
You remember? Because she talked about how, women have to be really cautious.
That is what it was, yes.
Women give babies. Guys, have babies, and guys don't, right? And so women had really sensitive palates to determine if there was something that was going to be harmful to them. And protecting their baby.
Yeah.
And so they've, over, the millennia, have developed a finer palate. And
so that is what it was.
And it was that they had more taste buds. That's what it was. It's like the sheer number of taste buds that women have versus men. It's a genetics thing that developed over time, which I thought was really interesting.
That was pretty interesting, and amazing how our bodies work too on that too. That's the women that I had initially lined up on our notes here. So I know you guys have some other people you want to talk about. So let's hear more about what you have.
Lisa, do you want to go first?
Oh, I don't. I'm sorry.
So
I didn't come.
She was talking with these two, so sorry.
Yeah. So I actually did a little research before I came in this week, and it's kind of interesting that they said the Mayan and Aztec women actually carried tobacco pouches. So they were some of the first tobacco smokers, and they smoked equally with the men in their society, which is pretty interesting. And then if you look back to the 20s, and this event I'm going to in Colorado next week, there's a flapper night, and I'm kind of like, can I just wear the man's like mafia zoot suit with that hat, not have to wear a dress? But okay, fine. So as I was looking at it, women smoked cigarillos during the 20s because they were being rebellious by smoking cigars. And I was just looking up some of the famous women that smoke cigars: Drew Barrymore, Marlene Dietrich, Greta Garbo, Demi Moore for a while.
Yes.
We know Madonna has, but Madonna does a lot of things that I just really don't want to know.
Right.
Yeah. Let Madonna be Madonna, right?
Yeah.
I remember Demi Moore in that scene in G.I. Jane.
Yep.
Yeah, where she's smoking a cigar with her guy, and I mean, that's pretty cool. I like seeing that.
I just texted Chloe, and she just pulled up. So.
Calling in for backup, huh?
Yeah. She's going to open up for us while we're doing this. So
yeah. But it's really interesting because my friend that actually turned me on to cigars, I worked with him at Big Yellow, and he was just like, here's a flavored cigar to start. I'm like, okay. Graduated very quickly.
Side note.
Yeah.
If you're a cigar shop or lounge and you're a guy and you do that, stop.
Absolutely.
Don't, because that's one thing. I mean, she's seen this happen many times. She goes in there and one of two questions. Tell me if there's other ones. First question is, "Oh, honey, are you buying something for your husband or your boyfriend?" Or, "Oh, honey, here's the sweet cigars. Would you want one of these?"
You started out with "Oh, honey" on both of those. That was your first wrong move.
But that's how it is.
That
isn't
is
it?
true.
That's exactly how it is. And it's like it shouldn't be that way. It's like, no, do the same thing you do with any other person. Just go in there and say, what do you like smoking? And then help guide to those. The funniest thing that I see is if I see someone in a shop and someone does that, 90% of the time, the woman's like, "No, I got this." And they'll go over and get a strong cigar. And that guy's, "Oh, that's strong." She's like, "Yeah, I know. I like cigars." And it just like puts him in his place. I'm like, "Oh, yeah."
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that.
But at Corona a couple weeks ago, I was sitting there by myself, and there was a very attractive lady sitting next to me. And I'm like, "What is that I smell?" I'm like, "Oh, you're smoking a Drew Estate Fat Bottom Betty, aren't you?" And she's like, "How do you know that?" I'm like, "You can tell by the smell." Mm-hmm. She's like, "I've only been smoking for 6 months." And I handed her a Griffin, which I don't always promote Davidoff products because I think they're way overpriced. Alandino is way better.
Shout out to them.
Exactly. Yep. So I gave her a Griffin, Toro, just to start. And she said, "I've never had another woman give me a cigar and say, try this." And I was like, okay, so that's my task for this year. If I see a woman in a cigar lounge, carry some nice mild to medium cigars and say, "Here, try something different."
Yeah. I mean, how hard is it just to say, "Can I help you find anything? What type of cigar do you like?" If they say, "I'm getting something for my husband," okay, great. What's he smoke?
Yeah.
It's not
Never
complicated.
lead with that. Yeah, it's not. It's not.
Okay, so we do have quite a few of spouses, mothers, grandmothers that will come in and they want to buy for that male.
Right.
Or I don't think we've had a female, but for a male in their life, a birthday gift or Christmas present. They really don't know what they're looking for. They just say, "I know he comes here. What can I get him?" Well, that's so broad,
Yeah.
But again, you walk them through. Okay, do you happen to remember the color of the cigar? Or do you know how long he's been smoking? What does he eat that he, likes to eat with it?
Yeah.
Is he drinking? Yeah.
But you can do it in a way that you're not being condescending.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
And, you can be beneficial. Because I know of a friend of ours who went into another cigar lounge here localish, cigar shop. And before she knew more about cigars, wanted to buy a gift. And the guy said, "Well, what are you looking for?" And she's like, "I don't know." He goes, "Well, I can't help you." So she turned around and walked out.
Yeah.
Congratulations on missing out on a sale.
Yeah. And losing a customer and every other person that you
It took
ever
you
talks
60 seconds to
life.
ask a couple questions and you couldn't do that.
Yep.
Come
Yep.
on.
And so, we did a lot of our market research before we opened this and went to a lot of different lounges. And part of the barometer was, how did I feel when I went into that place?
Great question.
And
we did that a lot. We would go in. A lot of times I would have her go in first and just kind of let her experience it without me being around and just see what happens. And there's been a couple times she comes walking back. She's like, "Let's get out of here." I'm like, "All right, I get it."
Yeah. Well, I will admit I went into the one at Fisher's Yard a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Because a friend of mine is helping them manage it right now. And I went kind of like undercover to give him some notes. And I came out with a whole 8.5 by 11 sheet of notes.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, dude, people do not come in here to go to the club to have a cigar.
No.
You need to decide what the identity of this is, but the club ain't it.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Well, and that's things like if you're in Miami, sure.
Maybe.
Sure. There are
I
clubs
was
that are
gonna say
cigar.
maybe.
But there are, well, you're right. But I'm saying there's clubs in Miami that are cigar lounges that's what people want.
Yeah.
Fishers, Indiana doesn't need a club cigar lounge.
You can go to Burn downtown.
Yeah, exactly.
Ugh,
I mean, it's
But
a club.
I mean saying it's more
It's
of a club at
ghetto
night.
fabulous.
Yes.
It's what? Oh,
Ghetto fabulous.
well, and I'll tell you, Julio's a good buddy of mine, and I feel like Julio's gonna definitely do a good
I
job.
hope so.
Down there too.
Yeah.
Jake was there. Jake's a friend of ours. When he was they're really trying to do something at night. Young people show up, they play music loud, and it's like, you know what? If that's what people want, all for it.
And I do go to Burn in the
can't do it.
afternoon. And
Okay.
it's
It's
just
probably
fun.
a little easier that way. Yeah.
It's just a nice quiet place. You can sit there at the bar or any of the tables and talk with people, and it's like being at pretty much any other lounge. But yeah, after 7 o'clock, I'm
No
out.
thanks.
But back to what you said earlier too on that, those are places to go to party. Those aren't places
Right.
to go and have a conversation and meet a friend or
And
anything.
learn.
And learn. Yeah. And that's okay. There's reasons for that, and I have no problem with that. But that's not I'm 55 years old. I can't hear if there's two noises going on, I can't hear what she's saying to me. So it's like it's so hard. I want a quieter environment. So
Yeah, I'll say, don't know if you saw, since we're coming up here into mid-March, about how Miami is breaking up with spring break.
Good plan.
Yeah. Have you guys heard about this?
No.
Oh, there is a whole thing. So they have closed a bunch of the parking garages for the middle 2 weeks in March. Yeah, I'll end up needing some more. If you can get that bottle over here.
Yeah, we'll get you, Amy. You want some?
I'm good. I got to drive.
Thank you, Rob. They're for the parking spots they are leaving open. They are charging $100 a day.
Dang.
Yeah, there is a strict enforcement on curfew.
So now, what about like local businesses? Do they have like tickets they can put in the window and park in the spot still? And
No,
actually not pay it?
I'm not sure how that's going to all work out.
Okay.
But they are doing everything that they can. They told
kill
the
it.
entire spring break crowd. They said, "Don't come here,"
Wow.
which they don't need the business. It's Miami. I mean, it's
they
an
don't, but
international destination, right?
That says something.
Yeah,
They're
just
trying to change their culture.
well.
a
There's
little bit.
been multiple shootings like for the last 5 years in a row.
And fentanyl deaths.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of drug related stuff down there.
Yeah.
It kind of makes you think the whole club scene thing, right?
Yeah.
It may not stick around all that much down there.
Which
Well,
is
that's
why
good.
you should be at a cigar lounge where you can
Exactly.
trust the people you're sitting next
Absolutely.
to not put something in your cigar or your drink.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's things guys don't think about. It's like no one's put anything in my drink.
Right.
And I don't think about that, but you're right. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So spring break. Yeah. Don't go to Miami.
Don't go to Miami.
Oh.
I know this kind of just makes you stop and think for a minute, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Especially after we had the All-Star game.
Yeah.
And then the NBA came out and said they're going to have more events in Indianapolis because it went so well. And I'm like, oh no, don't tell people to quit moving here. Let's keep
Yeah.
it small.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. All right. So we kind of jumped off on a tangent. So any other women you were thinking about as well?
I think that if you're a woman and you want to try cigars, go to your local place, like the Final Third. I will say the guys at the cigar box, I was sitting in the back one day and there were a lot of F-bombs and names of calling each other as they were walking in. And one guy was like, you didn't tell me there was a girl here. I'm like, there's a girl here? Really? My God. And as
Let's hit the door.
I know. And he dropped a couple F-bombs and I looked at him, I said, dude, I don't know what the fuck your problem is, but it's fine. And he started laughing. And on the way out, he goes, my mom would have beat my butt if she would have heard me do that. And I'm like, you know what? When I'm here, we're just all people. There is no
Exactly.
male. There
Yeah.
is no female.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
like you said, let's be a little naive and just say, you know what? We're a culture here together.
Yeah.
We're hanging out. We're all doing the same thing we like to do.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's too many stigmas that that needs to be changed, but there's also a lot of them that just get over it. And it's like, we're all human beings. Honestly, the way we talk, if we're telling dirty jokes about women, That's one thing. That shouldn't be okay anyway.
Yeah.
But just our normal conversation. I mean, we cuss, we do things, we do stupid shit. Let's just do it together.
Well, I remember
come on,
the sensory event, and Jackie's up here, and she says, "We all eat, drink, and shit just the same." So I'm just going to say this, and I forget what it was she said, because when she said that, I couldn't stop laughing.
Oh yeah, we were all having a blast.
It was hilarious.
Yep. And I will say, on the flip side of that too, probably in the last 20 years, it's become a little bit more normal. Just the conversations and stuff. I don't think it was quite like that in the 70s, all that stuff.
Nope.
But it's become more normal because we've kind of become a society of, I don't know what word you want to use there, but it's,
evolved.
Well, it's more
evolved.
relaxed.
I was going to say enlightened, but that's not really realistic.
Well,
it's more
relaxed.
Involved. Relaxed. There you go. That's a good word too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, again, hang out, get to know each other, and then give each other shit. It's great.
I will say, if you do come to the final third and you sign up for their customer loyalty program, I'm going to give you guys a plug today on that one.
Well, thank you.
So if you do have somebody that you love that comes in here and smokes, ask Lisa or Rob or anybody else working here, can I look up their phone number to see what they've bought in the past?
We're working on that again.
Well, we can still do it on Square.
Oh, yeah.
On the old system, but this new system has offered a few challenges.
So we're figuring
got
that
an
out
IT
again.
guy sitting right down here
Goodness.
at the end.
Don't start putting me on the hook for that.
Yeah. So, but we're getting at the point where I can see reporting and
Awesome.
start to learn how to navigate.
And you guys know who your regulars are, so you're going to know what they normally buy.
Yeah, exactly.
What they normally get. Like Rob knows, I'm probably going straight for an Alandino box.
Yep.
And I've already got the April 6th already on my calendar.
Yes.
It's
Nice.
blocked out because that's how much I love Alandino.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a good point to shout out. April 6th, Trey Mac's going to be here from Aladino. We're going to have a big event with him.
Cheers to Trey.
And it's going to
Definite cheers
Is that
to
the Final
Trey.
Four?
It's the Final Four, event for us here, and it's always a great event. We're going to be watching basketball and crazy deals in Aladino cigars, so it's going to be a great day to come out. And honestly, there's some great cigars coming from Aladino at PCA in a couple weeks.
Yep.
We should hopefully have those by that time too, so you can get in on a really great deal on a brand new cigar too.
And hopefully this turns from the award nominated to award winning
We hope
Final
so.
Third Cigar and Whiskey Lounge. Yep. PCA coming up, and
We sure
you guys
hope so.
nominated for the Midwest.
I created
Cigar
email
Lounge.
addresses just to vote.
Did you?
I'm kidding.
We would have been okay with that.
That would have been just fine.
That would have been just fine. Yeah, we'll find out on the 24th
Great.
if we actually won that. So we're excited. We really hope so. Regardless, we're very humbled that we were nominated for it because we've only been in business for 2 years, and to get that kind of an accolade was pretty awesome. So
Yeah.
we're pretty
And
happy
being
about
in
it.
business for 2 years,
That's amazing.
You're gonna have some new cigars coming in.
Yeah, yeah.
You want to?
Nope,
You don't want to talk about
nope.
that?
I don't want to jinx it.
Oh, so we're waiting until they're actually
Super
here.
secret.
Super secret. Okay,
Yeah.
we'll stay tuned.
I'm placing the order here in probably another week or so.
Okay.
It's a cliffhanger.
Should be good. But
Yeah,
but if you know who I am, it's my favorite cigar in the world.
There you
Finally
go.
got an account.
There's your hint.
So there you go. So ask me if you're here.
Now I'm pondering because I'm like, please don't let it be a punch. Please don't let
Oh,
it be a
dang
punch.
it! It is
Man,
punch.
you ruined the news.
It is. Dang it! No.
I tried the Year of the Dragon,
Yeah.
and I don't know if I'm just not a punch person.
Year of the Dragon.
The Shears.
Whose? There's like 6 of them.
Punches, you're saying.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Punch Year of the Dragon.
Punch Year
Okay.
of the Dragon. I can't get into it. Can't
See,
get into it.
I've got Year of the Dragon coming from La Galera, which their year ofs have been freaking amazing.
Yeah.
That ox was
Yeah, the
insane.
ox. I still have like 3 in my humidor
Yep.
right now. I haven't
So
smoked
that
one in a
one's
while.
that one should be coming shortly after the show. Then you got Davidoff. They've got the Year of the Dragon, and then
What's it cost? About $400.
I don't know.
That's
Sorry.
Just
You
to
know,
touch the cellophane. That doesn't count smoking it.
And I'm sorry. I agree with you that I think that Davidoff's a bit overpriced, but they do have some really great cigars. I love their Yamasa. It's that Robusto is spicy and wonderful. But
Well, and shout out to Blend. Their Blend Bar exclusive.
oh yeah,
is a
really,
great
really
cigar,
good.
and I really like it. I just, if I'm going down there, I'm probably going to get one of those, but it's not my everyday cigar because it's a $40 cigar.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
But it is what it is, and we tell people this all the time. I don't blame Blend or Burn or any of those places for the price they charge, because I don't have rent like they do where they are. Mm-hmm. I get why their stuff's going to be a lot more expensive, and that's fine, and it works. So,
but more expensive, but is it necessary? I
don't know. I don't know what their overhead rent is.
I got a 3-ounce pour at Havana, and it was $55. It was a 15 stars bourbon.
Oh.
The bottle was only $125, and you're charging me almost $55 for 3 ounces. Wow. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Wow. Sometimes it's because you can.
It's cheaper for me to drink at home. Thank
agree.
you.
Yes.
I'll go down to the Blind Pig in Bardstown and buy all I can. Thank you so much for that price.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, couple of things in the news that were brought up. Mike put this one out there. So we've heard a lot about, the last few years, Kentucky, a lot of the distilleries would have their, they were getting taxed. They get taxed for I don't know how many years they were doing it, on their barns and their storage of every barrel. So every barrel, every year, at the end of the year, they had to pay a tax on that barrel.
A resting tax.
So that right there tells you one of the reasons why bottles that are 15, 18 years cost so much, because they had to pay taxes on that for 18 years. So plus everything else. And they recently, in the last year or so, they stopped that. I think they realized we don't want to screw around with losing bourbon in our state, because it's the number one selling thing we have. So Buffalo Trace had put in a couple of barns down in southern Indiana to save on that tax before they lifted it. Well, now, distiller from Indiana, the biggest distiller in Indiana, MGP, is suing a couple of
county and a town, I think.
Yeah, county and a town in Kentucky.
Nelson County, and I forget which town it is.
I could probably read it, but I'm not going to. But if you see it,
you keep talking. I'll
okay.
read.
So they're actually, because these two communities were trying to block MGP from putting barns down there
after already having approved them.
After already approving them, and it's like, what's the point of this? So that's something coming up. We've been hearing a lot of lawsuits coming in the whole bourbon world, because like Justin's House of Bourbon are still fighting for what happened with them. Doc Crow's already settled on theirs, but now the distillers are starting to take charge and say, this isn't right. And whatever happens, and you know what, I have no fire on this at all. I don't know. Maybe they're right, maybe they're wrong. I don't know.
So I read the story.
Something in the zone.
Yeah, I read the story this morning because I was really, really curious about this. So the taxes that were levied actually went to the county or the town in which they were being collected.
Okay.
So what happens when you've got a rick house? There is a mold that is developed. It's a black mold.
Right.
And it's from whiskey, and it just goes through the air. So when you drive through Bardstown, there's a lot of the rocks or the trees, or if you got a home that's near a rick house, you get this black mold.
It's not really mold, though, is it?
They call it a mold in the story. It's not.
Did they really? Yeah, it's not really a mold.
It's like
that's
a
going to
soot.
It is like a soot.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
interesting.
And it's not unhealthy or anything. It's just
invasive.
Ugly.
Yeah.
It's going to be in your community.
Yep.
So you've got to clean that stuff up, right?
Yeah.
And if you want your town to look nice. Also, it's a major fire hazard. Now, you're talking over 100 proof whiskey, and you're storing 53-gallon barrels. Mm-hmm. And if you have a collapse or something like that, a fire breaks out, you've got to have the right equipment at your fire department in town to be able to combat that. And so that was apparently why the taxes were originally levied.
Okay.
Was because of the cost that a town or county had to take on to make sure that they kept the community safe and clean. And now they've removed it, obviously, for business purposes, which I understand. There's probably a point where you get, varying levels of returns, right? Where it's, hey, just having this much whiskey and bourbon being as big as it is, now when you sell it, you're selling a lot more, so you're collecting more taxes. Is it really necessary to have that annual tax to support that? So it's certainly a balance, but they're now using the zoning laws to say, well, you went and lobbied to have the state government lift this tax, so now we're not going to let you build the rick houses here.
Yeah.
Calling all dog lovers, say hello to Spencer Lee's, offering freeze-dried pet treats, crafted with care and bursting with flavor. Spencer Lee's treats are the ultimate reward for your four-legged friend. Made from single ingredients and freeze-dried to perfection, these treats are packed with all the goodness your pup craves. Be sure to visit Spencer Lee's on Facebook or Instagram for updates and website information. So it's going to be a battle.
Basically, they approved something quicker than they actually checked out what.
Well,
they
approved it something like 2 years ago, and then that tax break went through, right?
Okay.
Or the lifting of the tax. I wouldn't call it a break.
So in 2 years, you might have had some legislative change maybe that might have caused them to dig deeper into
or just some people that got pissed off and said,
True.
Really? I mean, you're going to come build all this stuff, and then we have no way to pay for it? And I don't know how the rest of the taxes in Kentucky work.
In all honesty, that's kind of a legitimate claim. Mm-hmm. That's fine. And I don't blame MGP either because they got approved. They probably already got money down the pipeline to get this thing going.
They already bought the land.
Okay, so there you go.
Yeah.
But, that tells me right now because I'm pretty sure Nelson County has a brick house throughout their county.
They do. And Williamstown does too. That's
why would this
the town.
change?
Well, because it's obviously you're adding capacity. So you're adding, more of the black stuff that comes out and so more fire hazard.
Well, maybe they should shift that to the fire departments who have too many Teslas in town.
There you go.
Because that takes special equipment too, right?
That's true. That's very good point. Good point. I like
putting those battery fires out that's dangerous stuff.
So I do have a pretty funny story about the whole, barrel proof thing. So we just got in, which by the time you guys listen to this, it might be gone. We're close. We got the Woodford Masters collection, the 121.4 proof, which by the way is absolutely freaking amazing. We got the Jack 12. Well, we one of the girls that actually sells us some of the product had text me and said, "Hey, I'm gonna try to get you another bottle." I'm like, "Send me all you will. I want all of it." And so she's trying to get that from me. She said, "Oh, hey, by the way, I forgot to tell you, you probably shouldn't be smoking around this because it's 121 proof." and I told her, I'm like, "Oh, it's fine. We got 148 proof brandy and we smoke around it all the time. It's fine. It's not going to burn." She's like, "Okay." So it's kind of
appreciate
funny.
the safety.
Appreciate the safety.
Yeah, thanks for looking out
Safety
for
first.
us.
Safety
Right.
first.
Safety first. Yep.
I have an Elijah Craig 141 proof. If I don't feel well, I drink that straight.
Oh, yeah.
That pretty much kills anything.
Yeah, it will.
Yeah.
I remember back in the day, my first job, I think I was still 19 at the time, out of high school, and I was a cat operator. Actually, before cat, it was on the board, get a cold, and my coworker over there is like, he's like, "Man, you don't sound very good." I'm like, "Yeah." I say, I'm trying to get rid of this cold." He reaches in his bottom drawer and pulls out a bottle of old granddad and gives me a shot. He's like, "Here you go." I'm like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah." Clears it right up, baby. Clears it right up. I'm like, whiskey is medicinal.
Yes, it is. Yeah, water of life, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so back to the combusting feature. Is that really a thing? I mean, I can
alcohol
understand
does burn.
if you're in a rick house, that
you can
would
still
be
burn alcohol.
Pretty much once you're over 100 proof, there's absolutely danger associated with it. I mean, you think,
But
you know,
in this
It's not gonna ignite the fumes or
No.
You're not worrying about that. I mean, there's a reason why you can't carry 140 plus proof whiskey on a plane. It's considered hazmat because it is so high proof.
Yep.
Go down to Cortana on a Thursday night and do the Parmesan wheel or whatever it is, wheel of pasta. You can watch them light the cheese on fire with the alcohol.
Oh,
Nice.
okay. I'll have
I
to
could put a
try
little
it.
brandy in there. Is what it is.
It was vodka on
it was
Thursday
vodka?
night. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Nice.
I was like, awesome.
I need to see that.
Yeah, they put it in there and they use the heat from the burning alcohol that heats up the cheese.
Yep.
And then you drop in the pasta and it actually just puts the cheese right into the pasta.
And I live on the north side, so obviously I have a problem if I'm always in Ingalls and Fortville
Yeah.
Pendleton.
Yep.
But you're not far. You're
No.
close. You're so close.
No, but I still haven't found the world's best coney dog in Indiana.
Oh.
Yeah.
Not chili dog, coney dog.
You know, we had an old, back in the day, we had an A&W root beer stand, and I could ride my bike to it. And they had, the old ones, they were the best coney dogs. And you don't see those anymore.
Probably Jeans.
Jeans still
I bet
has them.
Jeans has
In
it up in
Anderson?
Anderson, north side of Anderson. Jeans.
Okay.
So it's
Jeans
still
root beer stand.
It's a root beer stand.
It's
Still
a
drive in. So you drive up, and so that's you might have to try that one. See if
And probably the
Connoisseur.
Mug and Bun down in Speedway.
haven't been there.
It's okay.
Is it just okay?
I was there in the winter, so it was a little cold. So, cold chili Coney dog is just not cut.
Yeah, I know guys that come in, every year for the race. They don't live in Indy, and they always have to make a stop at the Mug and Bun.
It's like everybody out west comes to Indiana, and what do they get? Freaking White Castles. It's like, are you guys serious? Oh, I want to go to White Castle. I'm like, I'm going somewhere else.
I just had White Castle after not having had it for like 3 years, and I'm like, why? I can wait another 3 to 5 years, and I'll have it again.
Yeah,
the jalapeno sliders are pretty good, but man, the sliders are the appropriate name.
College
is the only ache thinking about it.
Oh yeah, college is the only time to eat a White Castle.
That's probably true.
I went to school in Terre Haute at St. Mary the Woods College. So
I've been there
when it was still a women's college, not a co-ed college.
Did they change that?
We did.
Wow.
Like 2017, we allowed men on campus.
It's a beautiful campus.
That's
gorgeous
wrong.
campus.
That's terrible.
Well,
I want to go there.
I will.
No,
I was going to say it's like a 9-to-1 ratio of girls to boys.
As well?
No, Wabash is still
boys.
But we used to have contests with the Rose Holman guys of who could get to the most White Castles in Indiana. Indianapolis specifically, and I had the car, so I was always the driver.
They're pretty good at upselling you at White Castle. We had my sister's birthday probably a decade ago, and we took a big tour bus with like 40 people or something downtown and went to Howl at the Moon, and we're all, liquored up, and we go to White Castle. I'm the first person in line, and I said, this is going to be a lot of orders. We're going to be here forever. Hey, just give me 75 sliders, right? I'm like, I'll just buy for everybody, and then we can just be done, right?
Yeah.
And they look at me in total deadpan and go, 75, why not just make it 100? And I said, fuck yeah, make it 100. I mean, it was like 4 minutes later, there's 100 sliders, and we're all sitting out on the curb right there, and it's outside of downtown eating sliders.
Yeah.
And it still only cost you $36.
Exactly.
So it makes you have to wonder, where does the hamburger come from?
I bought dinner for all y'all.
Yeah. That's great. I bought dinner. You guys are buying drinks all night.
and drinks. What happened to quarter beer night? When I was in college, quarter beer night in Terre Haute, they had to make it 50-cent beer night because the girls from St. Mary's, we pretty much ran them out of business at quarter beer night. So,
yeah, we've talked about that now being business owners here. We talked about that. It's like, how do businesses like that ever stay in business? Because quarter beer night, and you buy 10 of them, you still didn't spend any money, and you're probably going to throw a buck on the table for the girl that served you all freaking night.
Yeah,
it's like, how are they making money and paying people to be there? So I don't know.
I don't know either. It's you see bucket of beers for $5.
I know, and you still see that occasionally around here. Do. So I don't get it. So that's we're not doing bucket beers, guys. Just so you know. Here.
All craft.
You can come get your $6 to $8 craft beer, buddy, and you're
That's
good to go.
Now, I usually tip more if it's. So this morning I met 3 girlfriends from my neighborhood at Rise in Carmel.
Love Rise.
Yeah, I do too. But I felt so sorry for the young man waiting on us because 2 of them, if you look at a scale of appropriate to inappropriate, 2 of them are on the far inappropriate scale. So they're like, "How old are you? Are you jailbait? Do you like women? Do you believe in polyamorous marriages?" And I'm like, "Whoa, time out, ladies." I told him, I said, "Don't worry, I'm tipping you well because these 2, they'll tip you well, but I'm not sure it's worth your trouble."
Yeah. Well,
the poor kid was embarrassed.
That's a really, really good point too. Not just the story, but that's a good point too. Is like, people that are working out there right now are working, and they have, if you have a server anywhere you're going, or you have someone making you drinks or whatever, they're probably doing that because they need the money.
Yep.
And I will tell you, a lot of bartenders, a lot of servers are making a couple bucks an hour because they're living off their tips. And if you're not tipping, or you're not giving at least a good 20-25% of your tips, they're serving you for that amount of time. Accompany, give that. You know what? If you don't have next money, don't buy that extra drink. Throw that on their tip.
Yeah.
Because that's what they're living on. It's sad to me sometimes. We go to a restaurant and their meal comes out wrong, and the people are pissed. They're like, "Well, I'm not tipping her." That has nothing to do with your server.
No, it's
that was
kitchen.
something the kitchen messed up, or maybe
call the manager over, talk to them, but don't shortchange your server,
because that's their livelihood. They're probably going home to feed their family. Take care of them.
I've become good friends with a number of the bartenders over at Buffalo Wild Wings. It's my guilty pleasure. And if I'm not hanging out at Final Third,
well,
I'm probably hanging out having beers. And
it's because they can put 12 hockey games on at the same time. It's
amazing.
Exactly.
That was the coolest night.
That was great.
Quick sidebar. Rob and I just about called you Ron because earlier it was great.
He forgot your name. See, back to the whole memory thing. Exactly. He forgot your name.
But it was a Tuesday early in the hockey season, and since I'm such good friends with some of the bartenders, I go over and, hey, Jamie, every single team in the NHL is playing tonight. Can we have hockey on all the TVs? And she was like, hell yeah. And like the Pacers were playing. She knocked it off to the side. Just one little TV. Every big TV in the place is nothing but hockey. And Rob and I are just sitting there drinking beers, watching hockey, just living our best life for sure.
That was great. Yeah.
And I feel sorry for the servers still during COVID.
Yes.
Because that was terrible. And one of the things that we did, and Don started this, is even if we went through a drive-through and got an order, tip the people working the drive-through.
Yeah.
Even if it was Steak and Shake, just because.
Well, that was a hard time.
Well, it was a very hard time.
But let's be realistic.
And they did
people
show
are
up for
a-holes.
Yeah. And there was definitely, it's kind of funny. We talk about, tips, and I'm a big fan of tip your servers because they don't get paid
in cash.
In cash.
Otherwise they have to wait.
Yeah. Yep. But definitely tip them. I will say, however, if I'm just, if I'm at Target and you're accepting tips, sometimes I feel it's like the self-checkout is going to start having a tipping option.
No, you get a Christmas party at Walmart.
Oh, really?
Because you're self-checking yourself out, right?
Oh, right, absolutely.
Walmart
I've heard of people like taking their picture, and taping up on the wall over whoever's there as the employee of the month. Like, I checked myself out 14 times. I did a great job. I'm employee of the month.
That's funny.
So
you are right.
Tip people, but
tipping's gotten a little weird in some areas. You're right. I mean, you go to a fast food place and they ask for a tip, and you're like, you're getting paid
after they just claim $15 an hour for.
Now, I will tell you.
Yeah,
I will tell you though. I mean, I fall into this way more than probably you do, and maybe I'm calling you out. I just tip them because I'm like, I feel weird not tipping whenever I get anything done, and I shouldn't, but I kind of do now. I feel like we're in that world now where it's like someone did their job, good job.
No, I do.
Okay, are you giving them a participation ribbon also?
You're exactly right. That's probably what it is. That's probably more of what it is.
Now, I do tip my barber because
it doesn't take him long, does it?
What's that?
It doesn't take him long to cut your hair, does it?
Well, sorry to
give you a bad time.
Sorry to cut into your preconceptions there, but my barber is a woman. Thank you very much. And she does straight razor shaves.
Oh, there you go.
And so I tip her because she's holding a blade to my throat.
Oh, well, yeah.
So, yeah,
and I never realized that was a thing. And, tipping a person to cut your hair.
Yeah.
And I was going, and shout out a buddy of mine, Paul Bucher. You probably know Paul.
I think so. Yeah.
He cut hair forever. He's now cutting, I think he's still cutting hair at home. But I'd go over there, and I mean, his haircuts were cheap, and I'd pay for my haircut. And she's like, well, are you tipping him? I'm like, no. She's like, you're supposed to tip your people. I'm like, oh crap, I never knew that. And it's like $11 haircut, and he decided to raise his rate to $12.
Ooh.
And I'm like, so for the next 5 years, I gave him $20-$25 every time. I'm like, I'm sorry, buddy, I never tipped you before. It's like I always felt bad. I'm like, so there.
Amy, so we've just, met each other. I think we met each other one time before, but you'll find out I'm a little bougie.
Oh, I'm totally bougie. Yeah. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. So I get a haircut every week. With this, but my hair grows.
You got to keep your edges tight, man.
Exactly. I mean, the beard and everything, it's got to be cleaned up. Look good. Right? And then every 6 weeks I get a pedicure.
Yep.
Which we're going to do a pedicure show. We're going to do like a self-care. We're all four of us guys.
The only one we haven't heard yet on is Will. Will, are you in, buddy? We need you,
buddy. On the hook now. Got to go get a pedicure.
It's the only one we don't have an answer on yet, so we'll find out.
But yeah, I love that. It's like my relaxation time is when I go and I get my hair cut, and I don't do a straight razor shave every time, but probably every other time.
Yeah.
And look, I can shave just as good.
But
I get to sit in that chair for an hour and 15 minutes.
With a hot towel.
The hot towels and
my friends will all tell you I am completely bougie.
That's
totally bougie.
I think we're going to get along just fine.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yes. And it's funny because my boss is the same way, and she was jealous because I had a Louis Vuitton before she did. And I'm like, you have to understand, I was in Vegas. I was up $2,000 and Steve Wynn paid for my Louis Vuitton.
Nice.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Steve can afford it.
Yes, he can.
Speaking of winning, shout out to Curtis Blades at UFC 299 last night. Thank you for winning by knockout in the second round and winning me $100.
Nice.
I appreciate that.
Congratulations.
I've been losing terribly at UFC. My wife has just given me so much shit because I always take people with a particular round and a particular method. But
it worked.
It worked last night. Great fights. Sean O'Malley.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's a lanky guy and he has rainbow hair. He's got the white man's afro and it's rainbow all the time.
Okay.
But defended his championship for the first time, so that was pretty great.
Cool.
It was a fun night. Adding that to being here at noon and the time change. Yeah. I'm probably gonna go home after this and sleep.
Yeah. Well, before you do, did you add this note to the notes?
No, the Graham Rahal. No, I did not.
About that?
No, I didn't know anything about that, and I was just kind of going to check the TV here because the race is on. So, unfortunately, it looks like Graham's probably at the bottom half of the stack. Unfortunately, today
is he okay? I'm waiting for it to come up. So apparently, I should talk into my microphone. Apparently, Graham Rahal is. Let's see. Come along for an ideal Sunday drive with us as we organize a rally to Taylor's Bar and Grill or Bar and Table here in Ingalls. So they're actually When was that?
So
it's March 24th.
Taylor's has 3 locations.
Yes.
Yeah, and this one's coming to the one in Ingalls, which is just down the road. So if you're going to be out there, they're going to be there getting pictures and just having lunch there and just hanging out with people. If you want to go over there and hang out with Graham, by the way, Graham, we know he's listening. Graham, if you want to have a cigar and a drink, come on over and have a drink afterwards. But if you are going up there for that, come out here and have a drink afterwards and smoke. But check that out. It's just down the road from us here.
I was going to say, you better send him a tweet.
Yes, we should. Yeah. I will.
Send him a tweet. And maybe it's time for the final third traveling booth.
We're working on that.
To be there.
Yeah.
We're working on doing some things this year.
So my dream is to get an Airstream trailer.
Ooh.
And have it rentable as a cigar lounge.
I like that.
And they are working on some new legislation laws to make that legal here in Indiana.
So there's one in Peoria.
Yep.
And I just, every time I see it, I'm like, oh, I really want one of those. Not like I don't have enough going on with, work and trying to keep up my cigar and bourbon habit, but
Currently in Indiana, it's illegal. Only because you have your tobacco license and your liquor license are tied to an address.
Gotcha.
But they're looking to try to make that different. Obviously, with food trucks, why can't you do that with cigars and whiskey or cigars and beer, whatever? So they're looking to update the laws. Indiana's laws on alcohol and tobacco are so antiquated. It's terrible.
Well, we're talking about going over to Hunter's farm over there in Zionsville. He's running for state representative.
Yeah.
So maybe we put a little bug in his ear and say, hey, if you get elected, maybe you should jump on board with this.
They definitely have it in.
That'd
I will say
awesome.
most of the alcohol laws that they have put on the books have gotten passed. I mean, hell, till what, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, whatever, 5 years ago?
Yep.
We couldn't buy any beer or alcohol on Sundays.
Nothing on Sundays.
And now you can buy it from 12 to 8 or whatever it is.
Thank you, Jay Ricker.
Yeah.
Formerly Ricker's, gas stations, convenience stores, for
He's
pushing
the one
that.
that did that, yeah.
He's the one that found the loophole and opened up a restaurant inside of his gas station that then made him able to have a carryout license and sell cold beer.
Yep.
Out of his gas station, and they said, okay, we're not going to allow cold beer, but we'll open up on Sundays now.
Yeah.
And he kind of started that ball rolling with that loophole.
But that's the thing is like every state. If you ever go online, you want to see some comedy, just look up weird laws in states.
Yeah.
There are some of the dumbest laws that I'm sure at some point there was a guy that was screwing a cow in the backyard of a bar, and they had to put a law in the books to stop him.
Can't ride into town on a horse backwards.
Exactly.
That actually became a common law because you could be hiding weapons.
Yeah.
And they couldn't see if you were bringing weapons into town. You come into town backwards, and then you could start shooting up, the bank or whatever.
But there's no reason to take up space on a piece of paper for a law that doesn't really matter anymore. So,
don't get me started on politics with that stuff.
I was going to say, let's start talking about the Fed now, right?
Yeah.
No. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Hey, I've largely ignored federal politics lately because having two, very seasoned citizens as our two presidential options, I'm kind of like,
yeah. Well, and that's the thing. We've talked about this a little bit. At least I don't know if we ever talked on the show, but we talk about it all the time in here. A lot of people are saying, "Well, I'm just not going to vote."
Oh, that's even worse.
Yeah, at least vote for somebody.
Vote well, and think is really get into it and study local and figure out what you need to vote for local, because that's going to affect you on a daily basis.
Yes, it will.
National might not affect you as much as what your local is. So if you're not going to vote for the presidential or whatever, do you? That's fine. But definitely check into local and figure out what you believe and who the people are that are going to be running your kid's school and, running your local politics and your local state representatives and stuff. Figure out what they are and vote along what you believe.
And especially on the state representative side right now, check your social media sources, because a lot of these guys are throwing together community events.
They are.
They will listen, right? You can go and you can talk to them. And, especially when you're talking about local politics, it's mostly just local people. You
trying
may
to
not
make
agree
a
with
difference.
them.
They're trying to make a difference.
That's all.
They are.
They do have a passion for their community. They care. You may not agree with them, and that's okay. You can vote for the other person, right? But go just talk to them. Just take 5 minutes. Go find out what they're about. Go find out and tell them what is important to you, because there may be something that is important to you that does make a big difference in your local community that they don't even know about.
Right.
Yep.
Well, and that's one thing I've noticed this year, at least on the state representatives and the local, they're actually throwing their cell phone numbers on their flyers, handing them out saying, this is my personal number.
Shoot me a text.
Text me or give me a call, and I want to hear from you. I'm like, that's different, because, how long have we been in a political world where there's no communication you could ever have with any politician? And
I will also add one other thing. Educating yourself on how our government works will really help. And it's not to be mean or insulting or anything. No,
most people use Facebook as, this is the political truth.
Well, and then they're trashing somebody like, I'm sorry, but the federal government does not solve all the problems because it's not their job, right? There is documents. It's not supposed to be their job, and hopefully they, it doesn't. And if we're going to say it is going to be their job, then we need to change the other parts of how that government section works. We have ways to do that as well. But understand who you should be talking to.
Yeah.
If you're upset about a particular zoning thing, that's your county or town people.
Right.
You know, the federal government typically isn't and shouldn't be involved in that.
Nope.
Right? Waters of the U.S. Sorry. Did I say that?
Yes. It's fine.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing I'm not a big fan of. But you just got to find the right people to talk to. So go learn a little bit about where the responsibility lies, then go find the person and sit down and have a discussion. A civil discussion. Yes. It is civics.
Exactly.
Be civil.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to throw something out there I just learned. Again, going back to my Thomas Jefferson podcast, it has evolved and it's now called Listening to America. He's understands what Thomas Jefferson's history has brought forward,
his
with
original
slavery
politics
and everything. So he has evolved a little bit. But they were talking how I guess Thomas Jefferson, said this Constitution that we came up with will be good for about 10 to 12 years, and then we should change it again. Wow. I had never heard that.
Yeah.
And we've had, 29 amendments, I think?
And they said, to go back to the founding fathers to see what they would think that we have it 245 years later, no, more than that, 47, they would be dumbfounded, like, it's not going to apply, things change.
Yeah.
And so, they talked about how if you were to get a Continental Congress type situation together again and go sequester for a month or more, and be secret and pound out, details to, and have various different perspectives, nationalities all involved. They said, it'd be interesting to ask Thomas Jefferson, do you think it would work now to do that? And a lot of people said, no.
Nope.
Yeah.
No way,
to be able to change things now, it likely would not work.
I would agree with you.
There's a lot that's a deep political discussion, and it is a fun one when you think about what the government, they talk about the House of Representatives and the fact that it's limited to the 435.
Right.
Well, the power of each of those individual men has grown significantly because the country and women. Sorry.
And women.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good
sorry.
job. Good job.
Yeah, generalizations there, right? But it's just, it's probably not what it was supposed to be now.
Yeah.
And there probably does need to be changes. I like that we have a way to change it.
Yeah.
And that should happen. But, I will say this. I don't know if this guy's still doing this podcast, but there was one called My History Can Beat Up Your Politics.
Ooh.
Okay.
And it's fantastic. Even if he's not doing it, I'm sure it's still out there. You can go listen to old episodes. He says, look, you think we're talking about these things for the first time?
Oh,
We're
no.
not.
No.
Almost every single thing, no matter how future it is and dealing with technology and all this stuff. Oh, well, here was this thing that happened in, 1792 that was exactly the same thing. It's just now we're dealing with computers, whereas then we were dealing with wagon wheels, right? But the same arguments all the time. So really good one. My history can beat up your politics.
That's cool.
I'm going to have to look that up.
Yep. Another
Super
good women podcast. Stuff you should have learned in history class.
I listened to that one.
That's a great one, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's a great episode because, we're big New Orleans fans.
Yeah.
That talks about the Cajuns and where they came from.
I haven't hit that one yet.
Canada, actually. They were Acadians.
French Canadian.
French Canadians that got kicked out of the country and booted down as part of the whole, I think it was part of the French and Indian War, got booted down south to French-owned Louisiana, right, before the Louisiana Purchase and all that.
Yep.
And, really, really interesting stuff. That's a good podcast.
Yeah.
So you talk about history, and I have some stereotypical women that I'm around a lot, and we took a couple of them with us to New Orleans one year, right after Christmas. I was like, I want to go see New Orleans. I don't want to go when it's Mardi Gras because that's not really it.
Nope.
And I'm a planner. So I bought the book and I'm marking stuff and highlighting, and I'm the person that creates an itinerary that's in a folder so people know what's going on every day, especially if it's a structured vacation. And we got on the tour bus, and one of them looks at me and goes, "What's that little thing that's the design everywhere I see?" I'm like, "The fleur-de-lis." She's like, "Yeah, where's?" I'm like, "Oh, good Lord, did you not read the book I gave you?"
That was number 1 on the list.
Right. I'm like, "And you worked for the federal government?" Okay, got it.
So for those that don't know, share what it is.
Oh, the fleur-de-lis is actually the sign of the House of Bourbon out of France. And as French settlers moved to New Orleans, they continued to adopt that as part of their, I don't want to call it insignia, but that's their brand. And it's like the bee, the House of Bourbon in Europe, the bee is actually their signature.
I did not know that.
I didn't know
So
that one,
I find it really interesting that Starlight Bourbon does a honey finished bourbon, and I'm like, I just think that's really funny. It's House of Bourbon, it's a bee, honey. You start to build some irony into how some of the bourbon is created. So
that's cool.
Well, speaking of which, we're getting to the end of our cigars and our whiskey. Sorry, did you have something else you wanted to?
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, any thoughts on this as you're getting through the cigar and into the final third?
The thing I love about this bourbon, and what the cigar is doing the same thing with it, is once it's out of the glass, and you get all the caramel and candied sweetness out of it, and it's so nice. And that cigar just kind of pairs nicely with that.
So the light notes have dissipated.
Yep.
And you're left with the lows, the bottoms.
Yep.
And that's where you get the caramel and some of the earthy stuff. And
yeah.
This
was a great pick. We did a really good job on this one. So
we should pat ourselves on the back for sure.
Yeah, I can't reach that far back. So
I'll reach over and give you a pat.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
That was,
well, you too.
Just don't sue me for harassment because I touched your shoulder.
We didn't share the story about
Lisa.
Big day.
Now
we can continue.
Now look, here's the thing. I've been on a couple of these picks now, and I feel very blessed to be on them.
It happens.
And I didn't get to go on the Elijah Craig pick.
Right.
And I remember you telling me that there was something like 5 barrels, and that's kind of what they had out there, and that's what you got to choose from.
3.
It was just 3. There you go.
If we didn't pick one out of those 3, we would have went to the next 3.
So I'm sure that was, I know you talked about that being such a great pick. And I mean, the bourbon was a great pick that you guys got. It's fantastic. Love it. But how much you enjoyed the experience.
Yeah.
Now for me, going down to Backbone, going to Spirits of French Lick, where, you're right there and you're just in their operations and you're talking to them. They're like, oh, you need to try this, and run over that barrel and drill it or whatever and get
different
some of that.
animal.
It's totally different. And that day at Backbone, I think they brought out 11 bottles that they had pre-selected for us. And then we went and had 3 more that we drilled into the barrels. And one of those was just, we couldn't even pick it. Was it 4? 4 barrels?
And then we came back and did a tasting of the 8th day stuff.
Right. Yes. That's right. And we did the 8th day after that. So, I mean, when you think like
that's a lot of
Heaven Hill and you're doing 3 barrels versus we did 14, 16, 17.
It's a lot.
It was a lot of whiskey.
Well, what happens is, if you ever get talking to Lisa in here about tasting bourbon, she has a method, and it's a tried and true method Jackie called her out and said, this is exactly the way you do it. Is you're tasting a bourbon, that first sip's never going to be the flavor. Second sip and then the third sip. So she always does 3 sips. Well, she was doing that on all 11. And I had to tell her, it's like, just take a sip. And if that's not the one we're picking, because again, it might be good, but it might not be what we're looking for. Dump it. Well, she was doing that, and she was pretty much finishing every pour.
Yeah,
and she got a little hammered.
Yep.
So instead of going out to the Rick House to taste the last ones we ended up picking, she ended up in the car asleep.
I walked out to the Rick House. But I was in my
own
little world, looking at everything, watching them drill into the side. And they say, here, try again. And I remember trying one of them. And I'm just like,
I'm done.
I can't taste anything.
I'm done.
I think I'm done. Rob, give me the keys.
So if you see the picture of us on the Back Bone Pick, someone's missing from the picture because she's asleep in the truck.
Yes.
But I have to tell you, I have never tried the Back Bone before.
Yeah.
And I will say, I'm going to give Rob and Lisa another shout out. I tried the sweet corn bourbon here also.
Okay.
Which I had always wanted to buy a bottle, but didn't want to buy that expensive of a bottle without trying.
So that's Old 55 for those of you who don't know.
Exactly. So this is the first time I've had the Back Bone, and I'm surprised how much I actually like it.
Yeah.
I've been very much migrating to smaller distilleries. So my current go-to is a Frank August small batch.
Okay.
There's only about 1,000 bottles a year that come out of there. Amazing. It's
Where's
one of
Frank
my
August?
It's down in Louisville.
Okay.
Haven't even heard of them.
Yeah.
Sounds like I need to check that place out.
Yeah, a Blind Pig is where I picked it up at.
Okay.
Because he has some really unusual stuff. But the Back Bone, I think I'm gonna have to pick up a bottle to put on my shelves.
And this one is a bourbon finished in sherry, port, and Amaro barrels.
Okay.
3 different barrels.
Nice.
They do a lot of different finishing. They're sourcing all their whiskey. They're not making anything at this point.
They have no plans to
I don't think they're planning on ever.
Yeah.
But they source great barrels. They're sourcing from other distilleries, not just MGP. But they do an amazing job. They're really good at it. They're kind of like Penelope. You know, it's all MGP owns it now. But there's exactly. Those are all great. Barrel, they source all their stuff and blend it. So it's nice to see we're finally in a world where sourced whiskey is not a bad word.
Yeah, but I'm just going to tell people, if you're listening to the podcast and you want to try something, Rob, Lisa have a great selection of bourbon. There's a lot of different kinds. I've had too much bourbon evidently already, and it's not even 2:00 yet. But come here and try it and ask for your recommendations on what you like, what you don't like, and enjoy it while you're here. And you're not going to get charged an arm and a leg to try something. Right.
Yeah. Never hesitate to talk about the flavors that you like.
Yeah.
And then when you guys make suggestions, it might be outside of the box for what the person's normally going to drink. But they're going to, if you say, oh, I really like honey notes, or I really like, big deep notes, or I really don't like rye. Some people are just, I don't like rye. Okay, fair enough. Try this one. Oh, by the way, that's got 25% rye in it.
Yeah.
And you go, really? Like rye can do this?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always a surprise. And it's a really great call out with the number of bottles that they have here in the various selection. You can try an awful lot.
And I always try to pick something different that I haven't had.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I'm the exact same way. When I go in places, I never get, unless they have nothing, then I just grab Old Forester 1920 because it's delicious every time.
It's always wonderful.
And most everybody has that. But I'm the same way. I'm like, I've never heard of that distillery. I want to pour that, and with that, what was the name of that distillery again?
Frank August.
That's another great one. We were talking about Whiskey Acres up in Illinois. We're going to be, they're actually supposed to be distributed here soon. We're going to do a pick with them this year. And I can't wait to get their product in here because very few people, unless they've talked to Eric Jansen, have heard of this brand. And it's going to become a big brand in Indiana, I think, too. So
is High Bank coming soon?
We're hoping so.
I haven't had them in a long time now. And
I've been pounding that drum for quite a while too. And
over Columbus.
I think it might be more of just at this point them creating enough product, I think, to be able to distribute outside of the state. But I don't know that for sure.
So Lisa, I think we do need to have some women and cigar nights.
Absolutely.
Here at Final Third, and I'll happily circulate amongst my acquaintances, and we'll get some new people out to Ingalls. And
so keep your ears open for that, and we'll post about it. We'll email about it. Amy, we'll get her Instagram account or whatever she likes to share out here at the end too. follow her too, so we can get some more women out here. And guys, just because it's women's night doesn't mean you need to come out and check out the women. I will say that happened here before.
Don't check them out. How about you just have a conversation and talk with them about cigars and whiskey?
Or if that just happens to be the night, you can come out, bring your buddies and hang out and let them do their thing, because obviously they're coming together because they want to get to know each other and have those conversations, not here to get hit on.
Yeah.
Which honestly, this place is not that kind of place anyway. Kind of place.
No.
So, yeah.
It does get crowded though.
It will get crowded.
Yes.
Summertime, fantastic. Go out to the cigar garden. It's awesome.
And that's the thing we could do, is that once we get to summer, we could have it and say, you know what, the patio is women's only out there.
Yep.
Fill it up with women out there to hang out and enjoy your.
Or if it's hot, the women can have the inside, and you guys can go sweat it out out back.
That's fine too. That's fine.
Back to my whole camping comment of no.
You gotta have air conditioning. Gotta have a place to
Exactly.
escape. Yep.
Gotcha.
So the cigar, I'll give my quick notes.
Yes.
I think it's pretty consistent. There's, I think some of the fruit falls off a little bit the further you get into it.
It does.
But then you're just left with all the other beautiful notes that are still there in the cigar as you get to the end.
Yeah.
Not heavy transitions, just kind of light. It's a very consistent and wonderful cigar. Rojas makes great stuff, and that Bluebonnets is wonderful. Thoughts?
They really do.
Anybody else?
Nice ash.
Nice ash.
Nice ash. I like that.
Yeah.
Nice ash.
Nice. That's great.
Well, I get talking too much, so I had to relight it quite a bit. But I continued to get that blueberry muffin, and even had that hint of like pastry, like you talked about with a Pop-Tart. So I don't think I've had this in well over a year, if I had it before. So no, I really enjoyed it.
And this is one that they also have the same cigar in a Lancero. And if you want these flavors intensified tenfold, the Lancero is the way to go in this one. I love this. It's one of my favorite Lanceros we've got in the humidor right now. I've got several that I like a lot.
Aladino Cameroon.
The Aladino Cameroon is my favorite.
Yep.
You can't go wrong with Aladino.
No, you can't. You can't.
No.
Yeah, and you know what? We've never actually talked about why, but we've randomly had this little hand sitting out here in front here.
Yeah.
It's like old news now, but I still kind of feel like we have to say something. If you ever watched Happy Gilmore, Chubb, he had the wooden hand because damn alligator bit my hand off. And he died a few months ago, whatever it was. And we had him out here. So we've been honoring him by having Chubb's hand out here. And it's an ashtray, but it's Chubb's hand. So we're honoring him by having him on the show every week.
Absolutely.
So much. So, eventually down the road, we're going to randomly put it in places in here and see if people find it, like Chloe has with little cows all over the place. If you find a cow in our place somewhere, make sure you tell Chloe you found it, because she is hiding them all over the freaking place in here. And you never see them. So now if you ever see one, they're little bitty things. They're like a quarter-inch long, maybe, or something like that.
Something like that.
And she's got them all around. I'm over there restocking the humidor the other day, and I pull a box off. Here comes a cow. I'm like, oh, here we go.
You never know what you'll find at Final
I was going to say, so it's raining cows instead of raining men for ladies'
night,
right?
That's right. Yeah.
We can start.
I think there's a law in
Indiana
Indiana about that too. So
there could be. There could be. Back to maybe
Probably
somebody
a few.
wrote it in town backwards.
Exactly. Wrote a cow backwards.
Yeah.
So the only other business I'd like to give a shout out while we're here is Larry Harnish at Maduro on Main.
Yep.
He's just up the road in Fortville, and Larry was kind of the first cigar store I went into here in Indianapolis.
Yep.
I'd been to blend, felt wildly uncomfortable because I'm not like 5'8", blonde, blue-eyed, and 102 pounds soaking wet, but that's okay. That's besides the point. But Larry always is super gracious.
Yep.
Always gives you recommendations, and the thing I like about both you and Larry is you guys support the I just lost the
Cigars for Warriors.
the Cigar for Warriors,
Yeah.
but then you also do the
End of Watch.
Yep. And those two organizations we can't support enough as a society. I was the Top Gun era of movies, and I wanted to go in the Navy so bad and be a pilot. That was not in my future, but there's somebody out there that does do that and keeps us all safe at night. So End of Watch, Cigar Warriors.
Yeah.
Definitely. I'm the Tunnel for Towers girl also.
Yeah.
I've done that race in New York City.
Okay.
So speaking of, we have an event sponsoring a guy who participates in the Tunnel for Towers
great.
on May 11th.
May 11th, Tunnel for Towers.
Yeah.
Fabulous. It's I met the guy briefly as I was trying to run through the tunnel for that race. And if you want to really see what 9/11 was about, you come out of that tunnel and there's police officers on one side, firefighters on the other, with banners of the fallen. And it's a hard one because I actually just got chills down my back over it. But it really puts a name with a face and brings home what actually happened and how we need to support those first responders.
Final Third Cigar is Indiana's exclusive Aladino Cigar Lounge. Come to Final Third for a selection of over 20 different Aladino cigars, including the Cameroon, a wonderful cigar with nice light flavors. Make sure and visit Final Third, the Aladino exclusive cigar lounge for Indiana.
Yeah, and that's something too. If you have any in your friend group, or I mean, honestly, cigar lounges are great for this because you have firefighters and police officers in here all the time. Bring that up because a lot of firefighters and officers participate in this, and they may not go to a specific place. They'll literally just go to a hospital and they'll run the amount of times up and down the stairs that it would have been for them to run up the towers. And they'll do that once a year, every year, just to remember. And they do it the same way. They've got their entire turnout gear and everything on because they want to know, they want to feel what they were going through. Obviously the stress level's different.
Yeah.
But it's still kind of an honoring of what they did. And talk to your local people because I would guarantee you probably have people in every community that are doing this.
Absolutely.
So
it is great
awesome.
Organizations. And glad you guys big supporters and Larry obviously over at Maduro on Main.
Yeah, and just so you know, Larry's been a part of the Cigars for Warriors for a very long time.
Yes,
I think since almost when he opened.
Yep.
And if you don't know what that is, basically what they do is they take donations of cigars or money, and then the cigars get sent over to troops that are away protecting our freedoms. And I will tell you, a lot of the military start their path in cigars sitting out back after the end of the night by the fire. That's where the smoke pit got his name, was because the pit behind, that's where they would go. They go out there in the back after being in battle during the day, go out there and have a cigar just to sit and relax. It's like, that's where they learn that. So if you have cigars that you have extras or whatever, you're like Dr. J's filtering out some of his old cigars because he's had them for a while and he's getting new cigars, didn't have room, bag them up, drop them off at Larry's, and he sends them off every, I don't know if it's every month now or every couple months or once a quarter. It's usually
like every quarter.
Yeah.
And I usually take in cash because the shipping is
it's expensive.
Crazy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's the other thing too, is if you don't have extra cigars and you do want to give him cash, whatever, you can also go on Cigars for Warriors, I think cigarsforwarriors.com, and you can actually donate directly on their site. Same way with End of Watch. You can go on endofwatch.com and go right on there and you can donate directly to them. You don't have to just, with End of Watch, you don't have to just wait for a bottle to be picked, barrel picked, to buy a bottle to donate that money. Yep. You can just go out and donate at any time. And these organizations need that money to be able to take care of our people.
Yep.
A quick edit. It's not endofwatch.com. It's
End of Watch Legacy Fund.
Because there are numerous.
You're right. endofwatchlegacyfund.com. Yes. And they're on social media. Both of them are. So definitely check those out.
So last little bit of note, we need to talk about our changing hours.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up. So April 2nd, we're going to be changing our hours. We've got signs out here. We're going to be promoting it. It's not going to really affect most people other than the people that come in at 8:30 after eating a dinner and come in here. You know, we had been closing at 9. We're going to be staying open till 10, just an extra hour there. And again, we're not going to kick you out right at 10, but we're going to be trying to help you kind of work your way out. But we're going to be open up Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 3 instead of noon. We don't really get a lot of business between 12 and 3. Really makes no sense to pay an employee to be here for those 9 hours during the week to really get no business. So take that into account. If you do come in here between 12 and 3, just maybe show up at 3 instead and hang out because it's still before work hours are over. But that's taking into account April the 2nd.
Yeah. So emphasis, Friday and Saturday, we are open at noon.
Yes. I'm sorry. Friday, Saturday, we're still noon to 10, or going to be noon to 10.
Yeah.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 3 to 10. Sunday, the same, 1 to 6.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we'll put that everywhere. So where can they find you guys? Amy?
So my Instagram is amy.frakes.
Amy.Fricks. It's Frakes.
Yes, correct. And then I'm also on Facebook. Bye, Mark. Bye, Jen. And I'm on Instagram. A lot of times I will post the cigars I'm smoking.
Yeah.
And usually I'll take a picture of the bourbon and the cigars of what I'm drinking that day and what I'm smoking. I'm not a huge aficionado. I know what I'm doing, but I'm still learning tasting notes on cigars.
Yeah.
But please feel free to follow because I'm always posting something.
Awesome.
Lisa?
I'm Boyland3448.
Yep. Follow me on Instagram, Final Third Cigar, Facebook, Final Third Cigar and Whiskey Lounge.
And you can find me at Scotty D Smokes.
Yeah. Well, thanks a lot for listening, guys. Get out there and love the women in your life and treat them better. Period, right?
Well, but thanks for the invite. It's been a blast.
Well, thanks for having me, guys.
So glad I got to hang out with you today.
Cheers till next week, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.